First one that I'm doing in a while. And with that, briefly just to intro that there will be way more focus probably on like general horizontal progress, right? Like accounts, boss mules, possible Legion champion, all of that, right?
Yeah. More
Whereas
like,
up till now,
like these topics.
yeah, up to now a lot of the sessions were also just like explaining how IED and drop rate work and that kind of stuff. But if there's anything like that, calling it basic sounds a little bit, reductive, or like you should know that already. But if there's anything that's more of a fundamental thing like that you also have any questions about, we could start there and then kind of like work our way into the more, more like meta topics, I guess, for your... That would be more of a meta topic, and then otherwise we can go more within your account, but then still kind of go meta and then into... from macro to micro, basically, is how I prefer to do it. So look at the overall situation of your account, where you want your whole account to go, and then like specific character things and smaller things, and then like your plan for the StarForcing, right? Have that last, yeah.
That sounds good, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to start with more like general things, like small questions?
I'm okay to start with like your whole account. If there's nothing where there's like a topic in the game or any piece of content in the game that you just don't really know what it does, and you want to make sure that you're not like forgetting anything that's important, because usually there's like one or two of those things still, maybe some topic that's forgotten or something that you heard about but you're not sure if it's important for you personally. But if there's nothing like that, you can also just ask when it comes up, right? But if there's nothing off the top of your head like that comes to mind, then we can just start with the document and then just go from there.
Yeah, and there's not like a system. I don't know how I can use it for my account or something like that. So maybe once we get into the flow, there will be. We will see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just feel free to just be like, whoa, stop, please. Like, what is like? Clarify this a bit more. Just make sure with every topic that you feel. I'll check every now and then, but just feel free to say like, that didn't really like click for me yet, and I'll find another way to explain it or give some more detail on something, right?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. So we got the 5, 10, 15 coming up this Sunday. 30 bill budget, is that what you have now, or will that be including what you can make in the coming week?
That's including what I can make up until then. So right now I have like 22.
Yeah. So you would say like 8-ish bill a week is like a average income for you weekly?
Yeah, about that.
Okay. And have you been playing for long?
No, I've actually started like last summer at the end of the summer event. So that was August, I think, maybe July. Yeah, somewhere like there.
So like 6 months, a bit over 6 months.
Yeah, 69 maybe.
Yep.
Like most Maplers probably have played way back in the early days.
And then gave it another try. And now the progress is a little bit different, right?
Yeah, it's a different game. It looks the same, but it's very different.
Yeah. Instead of needing a whole party, now you can be a single person, can do more than a whole party could back then, right? Way more targets, way more mobility.
A few more buttons, not just one.
Yeah, way more buttons, I was gonna say.
Hold it for 1 hour and watch Hauntail die.
Yeah. Oh, the amount of stars you would have to throw into one of those guys to kill all those bodies. And you have to bring enough throwing stars, right? Because otherwise you would run out. Yeah. That's all been streamlined just a little bit better. Just need one set of stars and you're good. That was a whole evolution for the class to get to this point, but it's good that they got there. Okay, and is that specifically, well, I guess with the 5 to 15, that's specifically to go past 17, or just to 17 for most things?
There are a couple of things I can probably try to get past 17. Like, I'm in the transition from the Upsalab gear to the Arcanes. I got my last piece this week, so I can probably bring those to 17.
Yeah.
And try some extra items like the KT or the Gorlock's ring, the Gorlock's earring.
Yeah, and then you have to look at how many backups and whether it's risky. It's always good to have like a general order written down of like what do you want to have done first and then what's possible after that, just so you can always reassess whenever one of the projects is done. You cross it off, and then you go to the next one, and then you constantly, depending on how analytical you want to be with it, it could be a good idea to also kind of like research how much the expected cost is for every project, just so you have an idea of the possibilities, and that you can know beforehand that, that you just have like a little file, because I saw you do this, so I know you're a super nerd, which is good. But that can help you as well, just with the list in general of what things cost, and then you can always use that for the next character, right? That goes to like a similar transition in the moment itself. Okay, what is a good project that I work on now? And typically I like to work with 17 star, then 18, then 19, especially on things that you have backups for and that you're going to be safeguarding, just 1 star at a time. And then typically comes the jump up to 21, and then much later probably comes 22. But of course it's different per item type. They're not all going to go to the same star at the same time, right? Because you already know, like, the CRA is already at 21, your Arcane is going to go to 17, your Arcane might go to 19 if you get a lot of backups before CRA goes to 22, but those will usually roughly be around the same time. And then for everything else, it's just backups that pretty much just determine the pace that you can go at. And then, hopefully you get a lot of those, so doing the dailies and doing the weeklies and getting as much drop rate as possible is the way to make sure that you can maintain speed and progress. So drop rate on the main character on the one way to kind of give yourself extra weeks of gains in fewer weeks, right? If you have 300% drop instead of 100, you're just going to get more drops per week than if in less time, right? So that way you can make sure that you can keep progressing at a decent pace, because we don't have an auction house, so you have to do it all yourself. And then the other side is making sure that your income in your account keeps progressing to match how much you play, right? So you're saying 8 bill a week, that's already pretty well built out if you just had started. Do you spend a lot of time playing, or like how much time would you say you have available to play the game, or willing to play? Let me put it that way, because it can become a time sink very quickly, right?
Yeah, during the week I probably play like 2 hours a day, and on the weekend I tend to play a little bit longer. Yeah.
Okay. And is there anything specifically for your account that you had in mind as like a main goal of something you want to reach? Just, it can be a personal thing, it can just be general progression, just a boss you wanted to solo, or just some kind of content you wanted to reach, anything like that?
They were probably being liberated at some point, yeah, but I didn't start the whole process yet.
Okay.
Probably this month I will have my first run, but it's gonna be a carry run, so.
And so you have like a connection through your guild or something, or?
There's a German community kind of thing, that a Discord.
Gotcha. Yeah.
To coordinate those stuff, yeah.
Okay.
They help a lot.
And have you done some practice already with them as well, or is there any structure for that?
Yeah, we did one practice session, but just a very quick one, and we will do a next one pretty soon, so we can get the first clear this month.
Yeah, gotcha. So the goal is just to get everyone, the whole 6 people, across the finish line, but the main key is just like survival for the beginning.
Yeah. My part will be the survival part.
Yeah. Well, you've got the level. The combat power seems like it's getting there too. So I wouldn't be surprised if you were to actually just like fight in the boss fight. Well, it depends a little bit on how long the fight is, right? If there's a lot of strong people in there, the boss fight can be over very quickly. And then even if you do meet the requirements for yourself to be a full-fledged attacker in the boss, you might still end up like blue dot or even red dot if everyone else just does damage way more, because then you don't have the time to do the damage, right? But typically for to know that you're ready for Black Mage. Of course, going in and practicing with people around your damage is a good idea. Or you could do battle analysis. I don't know if you've done those before. Like a full 6-minute BA with Origin, or you can also do one without, just to see the difference. If you're around anywhere from like 80, I would say, to 100 bill per second, anywhere in that range, especially for your level, you can definitely be like a full-fledged attacker, and damage is not really going to be the issue. Like if everyone is around that level, the run is going to be like probably up to like 20 minutes or so. But you will, the only thing you have to really get down is the mechanics, and just don't get greedy, right? Because it's mainly greed that kills you in B3 if you get there, with the kicks, and then yeah, that just one thing leads to another, leads to dying a lot, and then multi-deaths and stuff like that, and then before you know it, your lives are quickly gone. So it's all about pacing yourself, attacking at the right moment, and being patient, and just following the patterns. And then when you have time to go, then go super hard, you know. And that might mean until you're liberated for a Nightlord class to maybe get the curring. I don't know if you've looked into that.
Yeah, I did the pre-quest and a couple of runs, but I didn't focus it afterwards.
Yeah, because the Jenny frame is just so good for you, because you have to stand so close to the boss, right? And you don't want to be interrupted too much. You can have parties with iframes and stuff, but that's pretty rare. You at least now have the boss that gets bound because of the Jenny, because of the Origin, and then that gives you iframe. But of course, as the Nightlord, you know, your main damage is coming from your spread throw, so you want to be able to use spread throw for a while, hopefully with you know, other people. So if you can, you wait for other people's Origin, and then you use spread throw while it's bound, hopefully at a right time where nothing else is falling. If something does fall, then you can press the curring, and then when the curring ends, you can at that point go into your Origin so that you can get like an iframe at the end there, right? And since the boss is pretty much always hittable, right? He doesn't teleport around or do weird things really in like B3. Then you can still confirm all of that damage as well. So that'd probably be a good idea to like extend the duration that you can spread throw, you know, without getting harassed, because he's going to be doing everything he can to stop you, right? Especially if you have a roar, you know, you definitely don't want to get kicked out of the roar. That would be a really bad thing to lose your damage on. Because you have a roar, roar 3 now?
2, it's only 2.
Oh, 2, okay, yeah. Yeah, of course, yeah, something new there. Even upgrading from a 2 to a 3 will already be huge as well. Just the duration plus the 25% damage is massive for you. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you did BA that you'd already be in that range, because your Hexa is coming along. And Gear's not bad, especially with the 5, 10, 15 coming up, right? Going into the full Arcane is going to be a nice boost. So are you familiar with like tools, calculators, stuff like that with my commands, with stuff from my stream as well?
There have been so many that it was a bit oppressing for me to get the hang of the commands. So I just watched your videos and stream occasionally, but I didn't use the commands myself yet.
Okay. Well, because you know, because I did mention like it might be good to just look into how much will everything cost, right, for the StarForcing. We could do that together, like near the end. But there's StarForce calculator that people have made that you can use, and then based on your risk profile and know how much of a wiggle room you want to create and how much extra space you want to be extra safe, you can use that as kind of a guiding tool on the day itself to see like what upgrades can I make. And also now looking through that, you might also see like, okay, you know, make a 21 star, make a few 19 stars. Once you start getting into the realm of how expensive that can be, that might also be for you more of the motivating factor to be like, well, maybe I do need to get my weekly income up, and in the short term, that just means more bossers, right? That's the best way to get more money very quickly. Or, you know, if grinding your main would be a better way to get your character stronger in the short term, but in the long term, you need to do a little bit of everything, right? Find that balance that makes sense for you within your playstyle and what your goal is. So, I mean, if your goal is living, I could say, like, don't do anything anymore in terms of leveling. Maybe get to 275 or something, and then just stay there forever, and then just build all boss mules out, and then do only that. And you should be able to live with your character, but it'll take a while. And Liberation is most likely changing with this summer event. So in 3 to 4 months, Liberation is probably changing. Have you seen any of that in Korea?
I heard about that, yeah, but I don't know how it will work, like the transition. If I do X amount of the lib quest now, how will that transition later to the new version?
Yes, so the steps still exist, but they're just not as cleanly, cut up into months anymore. It's just like quests that go back to back, but you can go from one to the next as soon as you meet the requirements. So there's no, basically all the bosses in the game past a certain point, is it past Hard Lotus, I think, will all just give you a certain amount every week, right? And also Black Mage, but they will all just give you a certain amount of like essences, basically, just some kind of drop. And then when that's filled up for that quest that you're doing, you can complete it and start the next one. So there will still be some time gate, because the further you go, the more you need. So you just need more weeks of doing the bosses. But if you keep doing all the bosses within the list, so that includes up to like Chaos Tenebris and stuff, you will just get more points than now. And you don't even have to do any Black Mage, but if you do Black Mage, that's also a decent amount of points. The problem is, though, or the main thing with it, is that the points that you get per run will be divided among the amount of people in the party. So if you run still like pretty big parties, it's going to be about the same speed as now, or even slower, right? So if you're just like, what you can't do is just one red dot per month, and then basically get a whole month of progress in like 10 minutes, in a really fast run, and just sit in the corner or on the boss and just duck the whole time. That's going to be gone. Like, it's going to be way more effort needed from the player. But if you do all of the bosses every week, and you do Black Mage in like a small party, you can do the whole Liberation in under 4 months. So it's like somewhere from 3 to 4 months. So it can be a lot faster. But it's mainly for people whose main character they're focusing on, just one character. It'll be a lot faster. But if you're trying to, if you're into some weirdo like me who's trying to like lib characters 12 through 15 by just, running red dot every month, like in an exchange and everything, for those characters, there's going to be a much higher requirement of damage and of activity on the character and of active boss running to keep it at 8 months, and not for it to take way longer.
Okay, so it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it's going to be way faster for mains, and for people whose side characters now are kind of stronger than new people's mains still, right? Because like my, I don't want to flex or anything, but like my 10th character or something is going to be stronger than your first, because I've been playing for way longer than you, right? Like, been playing 16 times as long, right? So for those characters, it's not going to be as much of a challenge, but for me, it's going to be more a measure of like time management and how many runs I have to do, and keeping track of all of that. That's going to be the tricky part. But if you just have one main character and you're already hard focusing, you typically already want to go towards smaller parties as soon as you can, so you have a higher chance of getting the drops, right? The pitches. So you'll already be naturally progressing towards that. So I'm guessing for most of those people, their Liberation will take like somewhere between 5 and 6 months. If you're very new, it might still be like closer to 7 months, but it'll still be a little bit faster than the whole process takes now. But you'll basically get progress through the regular bossing you'd already be doing, but you'll be a little bit more motivated to push a little bit faster, so you can solo bosses faster, so you can because everything will help you liberate faster, not just the one Black Mage run. So I think in a way it'll take pressure off Black Mage, but maybe because the pressure is off and people get stronger, maybe they'll actually start running Black Mage in a small party faster rather than just relying on a red dot, because that's, just like one red dot BM is giving you, I think for the comparison, it's giving you something like 80 points or something, and for the last month you need 1500 points. So if you do just like 6-man party BM, I think it's like 20 months just for the 8th chapter. So you can't just do that, right? It'll just take forever. So you have to play the game differently. So I think overall it's a good change, but depending on what you're doing for Liberation, you have to take it into account. So
yeah, okay. So I can imagine it's going to be quite time consuming for you if you do it on multiple characters.
Yeah, that's why I'm also like, this batch of characters that I have is probably going to be my last one for a while. Because I have 4 characters that I'm working on now. And then, well, the other thing is also like you can kind of not weaponize, but you can leverage once you can do solo BM or in a small party. You can also start exchange carrying, right? And now that's a very powerful tool of funding your account, because there's definitely some characters that can do certain content, but if you start running, pugs for like C10 and stuff like that, so things that you can do as well just to get better special skill rings, and you can start working on liberation. There's a bunch of funding that you can kind of just like hold off on and just not do, and keep your character a little weaker than you might want it, because then you get a huge buff when you hit the skill ring, and when you hit the liberation, you get such a huge buff and such a cheap upgrade, right? Because flames are basically free now. If you're, in between events and stuff, you get so much now, right? And you basically only have to just buy a decent potential, and it comes as 22 star and with 10% FD, and it'll be a really strong flame, and it gets an extra iframe. That's just so much free funding that you get. Like characters that for me that liberate, they gain anywhere from like 35 to 40 mil combat power or something just from the liberation. So that's
kind of crazy.
yeah, like 65 to like 95 to 100. And then the last batch that liberated went from I'm gonna say like low 50s to like high 80s to almost 90. So, or like 60 to 90, something like that. So it's a huge increase, and it probably was a little bit OP, right, to do that in that way. So you won't be able to benefit from that as cheaply. But by the time you get there might be extra 6-job skills, and you might get a lot more starting damage, right, when you're beginning. So yeah, it's probably not that super crazy.
Yeah, right now I mostly do my bosses with 2 friends in similar progression states, so maybe we can down the road do the exchange strategy. Who knows?
Yeah. And then the other thing you have to think about is when you are strong enough to kill BM very quickly, some people also might want to do extreme BM then, because it's closer than you think to like just soloing the normal black mage quickly, and then you have your better chance of the badge, and you get the chance of the exceptional enhancement for the pitch as well. So you're probably going to be in the while where you can do smaller party BM, maybe even solo for a bit, and then you can materialize the hardcore into funding your whole account, but that's not going to be as necessary anymore. So that also eases the transition to extreme BM without feeling like you're giving up a whole lot of value for your account, because as long as you just boss or do like exchange groups for all the other bosses with your friends, that in total is going to be more than just BM. Like BM is going to be a small part of liberation instead of the main thing, basically. It's still part of it, but yeah. Now I think a lot of people either start libbing very, very late when they're already super overpowered, or think they can't do it because BM is such a big thing, right? But so I think it'll take some of that edge off and ease people into the liberation, and then they can advance it further. It's meant for regular server whales to lib quickly. That too, yeah. People can basically buy their funding towards the liberation faster, and yeah, it's definitely like an interactive thing, change for Korea. So we're not 100% sure how it's going to come, and if it's going to be any different for interactive or heroic, right? Because of Go West, we're still separating more from Korea, but we're in the first year of that, so we're not sure how we can really expect them to change certain things. So we'll have to wait until we get big old patch notes for that. Okay, yeah, making sure that we get to everything that you wanted to get to. So I'd go for full meso and drop gear. So I think that would depend on how much money you have left after the 5, 10, 15, but probably yes. So you have not seen my document. So for drop rate, I've got a big document here. I basically talk about like 4 stages of drop gear. Stage 1 being like basically just the 9 lines, getting yourself to where is it? here, right? So the early game goal, get yourself to 5 lines of meso and 4 lines of drop, right? I'm assuming you already have that, right?
Yes, I have that, and one specific only drop rate for item.
Yeah, so the mid-game goal, so the next step is to have 9. So that's the stage 2. And then stage 3 would be, so what you mean now is like stage 3 is to have 5/10 within one whole set.
I have the 2 separate sets now.
Yeah, you have 2 separate, yeah. And then late game set, I would say, to try to make a combination set. And then the end game set would be to make that set in one fewer item so that you can either switch out a pendant for a spirit pendant, right, and still keep 5/10. Or if you're a class that needs maybe wants to use a cont ring for bossing, that you can swap out a ring and keep the cont on when you switch the drop rate for a box, so that you don't have to recharge the cont ring every time 2 minutes, because at that point the boss fights are so short. If every 2 minutes of every boss fight one ring is not doing anything, you're actually losing a lot of damage. But since you're definitely not a cont user as Nightlord, you can make sure that, you know, if you have any hybrid lines, all of that all goes into the rings, that's fine. But try to keep one pendant open. And try to get, so the 15 lines on 8 items. So that would mean that you have to get 7 hybrids, or, well, not 7 hybrids, right? Because 5 hybrids, and then 2 double drops, and then 1 single drop. That would be the perfect setup for you, I guess.
Okay.
So that doesn't mean that double meso is kind of annoying. But you can keep that at first, right? And then make all the other pieces and see what happens. Because it is possible that you hit 2 or 3 double drops later, and then the double meso can still be used and still works for your set. But as long as you make any pieces, keep them. And then you can always circle back once you see how all the other pieces turn out. So for that as well, there's the calculator that you can use to check. So for this one, we use cubing. As you your cost calculator. Because the cost for a so you use bright cubes, right? Because of double prime. You know all about you know about that? Yeah.
Yes, I know about that.
Yeah. And it should actually not be, so you do 2 lines involving item drop or meso obtained. This does include the double meso, right, which is not super desirable, but it is like average cost is only about 4 bill, so it's not too crazy. If you want to be more on the safer side, you count more like 5 bill. If you want to feel optimistic, you can pick 2.5. But typically the 75th percentile is about double the median cost, and then average cost is about the halfway point in between there, roughly. But yeah, median is good to look at if you're just doing one item. Average cost if you're doing multiple items, and then 75% chance if you are like a bit more pessimistic or a bit more risk averse. Then you want to make sure that you have around there. But since you're using bright cubes, it's not as necessary to, because, you know, it's going to happen when it's going to happen, right? And if it doesn't happen, you keep your current potential. So this is something that you can do just whenever you have money. But the main thing that'll probably happen is that you're going to like near zero out on the 5, 10, 15, right? Either run out of backups or run out of risky things for you to do. And then from there, you're going to need to get all of your backups back, and that's going to take weeks. You have that drop rate set to, so that's good. So that means that you're getting close to, or as much as you can. You've got the 9 lines, so you can technically still go to 10. So as soon as you get a double drop, that's still going to give you a little bit more drop rate. Have you included in that the greed pendant?
Yeah, I use it in my item
right.
setup, in my box opening, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, box. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I have it called, I call it like box stuff as well, because I saw that you did mention presets. This is what I use is mobbing, solo box, party box. That's what I have now for my 5 setups for the characters that I care, and then for the side boss mules is just drop and boss, basically just those 2, because yeah, a lot of them don't even train anymore. Like a bunch of my bossing mules, I don't know, I probably trained them to 200, and then events, potions, monster park, whatever, got from 200 to 260. Sometimes when people ask like, where do I train at level 225? It's like, you train at 225? I don't know, like you just get to 260, right? Like there's not even any training involved anymore these days. But of course it depends on the stage that your account is in. But even now with like Legion Burning, right, that's a lot of free EXP that you can give to side characters. I assume you're taking advantage of that as much as possible, right?
Yeah, I use those on my Buccaneer and Wind Archer right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. It's good extra juice. So since that's mainly bright cubes, right? Because that's the cheapest. You can start just doing that one piece at a time. But keep an eye on that you're using the right pieces that you want to hold on to. 6-job power creep is really big, and Solyanus is really good, but you're still dealing with the fact that you are like a particle killer, right? You want your Assassin's Marks to also do somewhat decent damage. So try to get, if you're going to go for hybrid, you're going to get stuck with those pieces. Stuck sounds very negative, but you're going to be using those pieces for a very long time. So make sure that you use it on items that at least have decent base stats, or can maybe StarForced in the future to something as high that you could be that you could be confident with, that's like future proof, right?
Yeah, usually the best would be to use the same you use for damage, but you don't need as a backup, right? But I do need all of what I can get for backups usually.
Yeah, exactly. So you could consider like like a Dominator and everything. Yeah, you don't want to hold yourself back, but yeah, if you use too weak of pieces now, there are some alternatives, but yeah, you're in a little bit of an awkward position now where if you want to start making like stronger drop rate gear, that's going to directly cut into your backups for your damage gear, and you don't want to have that. So, in the whole process for me back in the day, what did happen was basically that I had to completely remake the set that you're going to make now, like the hybrid set, and I had to completely remake it as a stronger set. But what might happen is that just because of funding your entire account and the general power creep, Solyanus, all of that you get enough damage from everything else that you can keep your moderately weak hybrid set, and you can actually keep that one forever. That is very possible. Usually, the biggest problems you run into there is if you level very quickly and you train an insane amount. Then you run into that problem, because then your time gate catches up with your damage gate, basically. But if you're a little bit more casual, I say 2 hours a day, like that's a lot of gaming, but that's not on the level of some people would just do like on average 8 to 10 hours a day, right? And for those people, if they don't make like very strong drop rate gear, they get to new areas so quickly that they don't, they have to overcompensate for sacred power and overcompensate for not having that many fragments and that kind of stuff. Well, that's mainly more drop rate thing, right? Because you still take the same amount of hours to level. So as long as you are just keeping a bit of a normal pace and grinding, there's probably going to be enough damage that's fine. So mainly focus on like those event rings and everything, right? Greed Pendant will probably get scrapped for the Spirit Ring in that set, so it'll come in as like an extra, light drop when you're equipping for the box. But because it gives like 0 damage, right? Like this thing is. It's like 5 stars, level 75. Yeah, so this thing is just going to drag you down. So for mobbing, definitely avoid this one for the set. But yeah, whatever you have access to. Sometimes if you get very lucky and you get drops early and you can start taking damage gear off and then turning that into hybrid, that can work. So if you have a few of those pieces, that might happen to. But that usually already depends on whether you get pitches, right? And then not only get pitches, but you have to go further in StarForce. But yeah, you have the Pat Mark, right? You don't really need the... At this point, you don't really need to wait. You have the Berserk as well that you can try. If those hit, then whatever you're using for damage now can immediately be flipped, essentially, right? So those are options, but they might also be a bit out of your budget. So I would definitely, well, I guess we're getting a little bit into it now anyway. Look at your StarForce slime. This should all be manageable, right? This is all like, what, 2, 5, 3, 4. Should be like 4 or 5 bill, like at the most, right? Probably less, but I like to round up, to stay realistic. Get these 17 to 21. Yeah, and then you're looking for 21 for the fodder for Transfer Hammer to the Superior. You already got the belt at 21, I thought, right?
Yeah. I got that last event.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, so at that point, usually I stick with 21 for quite a while. At that point, what I usually do is I keep running Gollux, right? Because you keep running Helix because you do want to keep the coins for future, for source and all that stuff, and for possible 22s and everything. But belt-wise, I pretty much just get rid of all the belts, and I just hold on to all superiors. And then once I have like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 superiors, and there's nothing else to really work on, then I'll try to go for that one. Because that's one where you really... You know, that star is cool, and it's damage, but it's also not necessary, right? And they'll free up a lot of inventory space, and just the specific drops that you don't have to worry about anymore. Because even if you do have, like... Realistically, if you have like 4 or 5 superior belts, you could just tap on an existing belt, and you have a very high chance of just ending up with a 22. But there's still, you know, that chance that you get pretty unlucky. So typically, I would just... maybe choose one type of belt or something. But I think you can... You're not in any, you know, danger of your inventory overflowing or anything. But because I guess since you're going full arcane, you're gonna get rid of the Abso stuff too, right?
Yeah, that's my plan, to just get rid of the... I mean, I don't need them anymore, right? There's no reason to keep them.
No, but you want to have space for backup arcanes. You want to have space for backup kind of treasures. You want to have space for maybe pitches going into Eternals in a little bit, not too soon, of course, and that's gonna be slow starting. Yeah, I would definitely get rid of at least like one set of the belts, either the reinforced or the... I mean, it's a nice collection though. I mean, as long as it doesn't get in your way, right? If it gets in your way, then you can definitely do that, and then keep the earrings until you get the transfer. Are these all superiors? Earrings as well?
The earrings are 6. I got 6 spare superiors. And for the belt I got 4 spare, where one of these is already 17.
So if you have 6, one thing you can definitely try is to just StarForce your superior straight up. And give yourself a limit of like... you know, maybe you're okay with 1 boom, or okay with 2 boom. So here's what I did. If I didn't have a lot, if I just wanted to get strong on like a boss mule, I would just 21 reinforced. If I only have 1 superior earring, right, or belt, and then 21 to 20, and then just stay at 20. 20 is super, super strong, right? And it'll stay with you for a very, very long time. And if you keep playing the character, you keep running Helix, eventually you're going to get backups. And then once you have 2 or 3 or maybe 4, you could try to tap it to 21, keep the reinforced. If bursting happens, you can transfer hammer again and make a 20 again. And if you just get 1 tap to succeed, I get rid of all the reinforced, and then infinitely hold on to superiors, and then maybe, you know, sometime in a blue moon one day, just go for 22 when I have like 6 or 7 or something backups in my inventory. But if I got a second drop, I would always try to go 21 to 20 and then try to go for a 21 tap immediately. Because if that first one goes, then I can skip all of those extra steps, right? And then I don't have to worry about like holding and all that stuff anymore. Especially for those characters, 21 is like endgame for them. That's like the furthest they'll ever go. 20 is already good. 21 is just like a freebie. But that also means that my standard is not going to go for everything from 20 to 21. That means actually that for some other things that I'm unlucky, I might stay a star lower, because now I have the extra star to compensate for it, right? And that's a little bit of a general thought that I have, and you can, you know, do with that what you want. But like if you hit a really good flame on an item, for me, that can do 2 things. That can like increase what your bar is going to be for flaming from then on. Or you can say, well, this one is higher than average. This other one is just, I'm not getting lucky. And this one is getting stuck on a little bit lower. I'm going to settle with this, because together they're still the average that I'm looking for, right?
Yeah, that's a new perspective I didn't have. Yeah.
Because that's what averages means, right? There's going to be some that get above, and there's some that are going to be below. Like some item might be stuck on 21, and you'll be like cursing that this item is staying on 21, and you just never get to 22. But then another item went maybe 21 to 22 in the very first tap, right? So it's like, it's all about, you know, staying realistic as well with the expectations. It's like, yeah, if 3 items go, you can expect the next item to like boom 9 times, and it's still going to be average. And then you have to like take a step back from, because it feels shitty, you know, the emotions will come. But as long as your character can do what you want to do with it in a time that you're okay with spending, you're in a good spot, right? And it's good to not get baited into making like rash decisions or like faster decisions just because other people have like higher stuff or stuff or anything, or maybe people tell you to do a certain upgrade. It's good to always just go back to, well, can I afford this? And does this help my account? And how does it compare to other things that could be helping my account? That's always a few questions that you want to ask yourself. And it might very possibly be that there is just nothing else in your account that you can really do, and there's no event coming up or anything, and maybe it is fine to just tap a pitch as soon as you get it, right? Because you have the money for it, and like, who says you can't do with your account what you want to do? But if there's an event in like a week, and even if the pitch goes now, you can't even equip it yet, you know, but you have the money. I mean, do you really have to tap it now, or can you just wait another week and then just tap it cheaper, you know? It's kind of like the big perspective.
Just wait a week.
Yeah, that's what I do. So sometimes 2-3 weeks, sometimes a month. Even if I have 100 bill, and people, oh, you have 100 bill, do it now. It's like, well, sure, but if I want to, if I'm that event, I'm gonna have 2 pitches and like 3 Eternals to tap as well. You know how much money that could cost? Like, your money is very quickly gone. I think for just one tapping 1 Eternal on 5, 10, 15, I think on average you want to count that you're about 40 to 45 bill is just going to get eaten by that one piece. So, you know, sometimes they'll just, within like 10 to 15 bill, they're gone, but it's almost never below that, because even if you fail a few times, like 14 to 15, like the billions just fly off. It's like, I don't know, I think Safeguard 16 to 17 is like 350 mil a tap or something. So that goes real quickly. So
I already noticed that even in the arcanes compared to what I used to tap before.
Yeah. Once you start like working on arcanes on multiple characters, and you're starting to think of like 17 to 19 arcanes, and then you go back to a mule and you're like tapping CRA, and it's like, why does my money not go down? Like, you're just like tapping for 15 minutes. It's like, I still have this much? Jesus. It's yeah, and then the step to Eternal is like another step above that. But then, you know, as long as your income is matching what you want to do with your account, and the level that you're playing at should be always like having a decent amount of money, as long as you're doing things on events, right? If you start tapping a lot of stuff off events, you're just going to have to work harder and work more and do more, and you're going to be like, basically, I would call it brute forcing. Some people would say like that's just how they play the game, but I would call it a little bit more brute forcing through the game by just putting in more hours. But yeah, so the Papulatus mark would be a good idea to see if that goes, because if that does go to 21, that means your Black Beam mark could be a very strong hybrid, right, for drop mezzo.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Berserk goes, would that free up Condensed Power Crystal now, or are you using something else for damage?
I'm using the Sweetwater right now.
Ah, okay, yes, very good. I love the Sweetwater Tattoo because it's a free, basically free 17. Yeah, if the Berserk goes, I would say for those two, walk them up with each other. Right, so try to get if you get the Berserk to 17, it'll pretty much be the same as the Sweetwater Tattoo, but, you know, Berserk is a little bit more, it's a little bit harder to replace. Do you have Daenerys? I think you showed backup somewhere.
750.
750, okay. Yeah, I would say try to get some more Daenerys, see if you can maybe squeeze out like another backup there. Because then you can use, so even though, you know, they would replace each other, but they're in the same slot, right? So get the Berserk up to 17. If that goes, try to get Tattoo up to 19. If that goes, get the Berserk up to 19. If that goes, get the Tattoo up to 21, right? I kind of like walk them up. And as soon as one booms, then you'll still have made an upgrade. And if neither of them booms, now you have a strong damage and a strong drop rate piece. Although that might be a little bit too early for you to do that because of the money constraints. But I think that's probably your priority here, is just getting the 17 stars, right? The superior stuff. And then I would look at the Eye in the Face, because, like you said, drop rate comes right after that. And, Oh yeah, including the slime ring, right? Because drop rate comes right after that, and making sure that you know for sure if you want to commit now to this eye and this face or a different one, I think is important information to have at this point. Plus, there are those stronger pieces that are going to help you compensate a little bit for the weaker drop rate pieces, so that you will be much less likely to have to remake the set again. And when you're talking about here, like doing the KT, I think you only have 2 right now, right?
Yeah.
So there's already a pretty low chance that succeeds anyway. So I feel pretty confident in just pushing that one down a little bit in the priority list, so that you don't have to put any pressure on that yet. Except, you know, if the Populato Spark like booms like second tap on 18 or something, and the Berserk doesn't even get to right, yeah, and the you run out of tattoo backups before you can get past 17, then you come back to this, right? It's all about the priorities. It's not about not doing something or doing something. Eventually you would want to do everything, but it's just about getting the order, I think, right, that makes sense for your account, for what you want to do with your account.
Yeah, about the dineros, I thought I would need those for the Sweetwater Monocle instead.
Yeah, so I think at this point, because you already have a transpose, right?
Yeah, it's 15 now and it's transposed.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, because if the Papalatus mark goes to 21, I think at 21 it rivals, or it's even better than like a transposed at 22, or it's like really close, but you have the set bonus and the better flame, right? So it gets really, really close. I think a 21 transposed would lose to a 21 pap mark, but a 22 would just win. So you could like do the same thing that I said with the tattoo and the berserk. You could do that with those two, but then you run the chance of having like 3 strong ones, and then you're maybe digging a little bit too deep into your pockets. Because you have a 17 black beam mark, a 20 black beam mark, a transposed monocle, and a Papulatus mark, right?
Correct.
So you have a lot of options, but you also have the option to... So if you want to be very safe there, I probably like walk the pap mark and the monocle up to like 17, and then one at a time walk them up, kind of like the tattoo and the berserk, right? And then if they're both at the level, they both surpass the black beam mark, then you don't use the black beam mark for anything anymore. And then you can swap whichever one gives you the best damage at that point. But I think... I'm pretty sure the transposed would have to get to 22 to be stronger than a 21 pap mark. But I think at that point, I would be totally okay with settling on 21 with either one of those or with both. Because the next step is going to be an eye patch anyway. And then you'll just have free reign to 22 or nothing eye patch. And you'll have a bigger upgrade coming from the eye patch so you can switch into it faster. Versus... it being technically better, but then having to sit on it because you need more set bonus or you need a really good flame before you can even switch into it, because that would be really annoying as someone who's gone through the pitch process. But yeah,
I can imagine, yeah.
So I mean, we could do like a little bit of mathing here. So exclamation mark StarForce. Yeah, I'm just trying to like figure this out as you go as well, you know, but kind of like looking through your account. Yeah, so 200. Yeah, it shouldn't be too much, right? 15 to 17, 0 to 17. Is it like 1.5? I don't know if I'm... do you have a enhancement room in your guild?
I'm in your guild, so yeah.
Oh, yeah, yes you do then. Yeah, we have it in the main guild and in the Mule guild. So we're working on it in the 3rd guild, but yeah, it's always hard because the drop is super rare to get it. Yeah, okay, close to 1%. Yeah, so like 3.5 for 2, and then 115. That's still like 1 bill probably. 0.8 for 3. 3, 4.7. Yeah. Yeah, I think like somewhere like 4.5 to 5 bill conservatively for this stuff. And you have 30. Yeah, so I think you can... I would probably try the things with the eye in the face, because if you can get some 21s out of there, then you're immediately good. Because I would like to know if you can get done with the... would you almost do one at a time? I feel like you do one at a time. If the pap mark goes to 21, then you don't even have to do the monocle, right? Because then you could just keep... yeah, because then you can keep the 20 black bean mark, because 20 black bean mark is going to be a little bit weaker, of course, than the 21 transposed monocle, but it's going to be so close, and again, plus set bonus, plus better flame, it's not going to be that much weaker. And then you can save the dineros and use those as backup for the tattoo instead to help walk up the berserk.
Okay, so I'll try the pop mark first, do 21 and see if it goes.
Yeah, if that doesn't go, then then you can always try to monocle. And if monocle doesn't go, you're still set with a 20 star beam mark, right? That's still good. But maybe if the pop mark doesn't go, maybe then you try to tattoo and a berserk first, see if you can walk that up. And if that goes up to an acceptable number for you, then you can always try to the monocle after that. But you don't have like thousands of dineros, so you only have like 2 or 3 backups, right?
It should be 3. I think it's 250 per.
Yeah, the pendant is more expensive, I think, but the other ones are 250, I think. Yeah, so 3 backups. Yeah. Yeah, I just hope, if the pep mark goes, that saves you. I mean, of course, an item going is great and everything, but the main thing is going to be that it opens up a lot of options for you. So I would that's the order I see it in, and there is a good chance that you still have money left after that, right? And then you can try. So then I would probably try superior ring, just superior earring, just on itself, because you have so many. I think there's a very good chance you hit 21 in like within 2 or 3, and then you can also choose at that point. You know, do I keep all the earrings, or do I do something else? Because the transfer is cool to have that as an option. So it's always better what you did, right? To just keep all the backups. But then in the time that you get those backups, you also get like 6 of the actual drops. Now you want to start making different decisions based on what you have at that point. But if you didn't keep all the backups and you didn't get the superiors, well, now you'd be fucked, right? So it's always good to have that as a contingency, and good to have that as a backup. Then you always just have more options to play with. So it's the whole strategy behind it is still good. Yeah, and for belts,
Yeah, that was confusing me. Like, what's the point? How much more backups do I actually save of the reinforced? But
as long as you have inventory space, save all of them. Honestly, because you could get super duper duper unlucky and blow up like 30 belts and never, like, for fodder, and never see 21. Like, it's possible, But for you, that's never gonna happen. Like, you have made the chance of getting that unlucky, of how unlucky you could possibly get for it to negatively impact you, so small by being prepared for long term,
Okay.
So it's always better to do it this way, as long as it doesn't impede your. But like these days, like, equips don't even drop on higher level monsters or anything, right? So you don't have like a full inventory and bullshit that you have to do with NPCing and extracting and all that. So it is better to do this, honestly. And then when you hit, then you can always make a decision after that to be like, okay, I'm not going to hold these anymore. Just need more kind of treasure rings to hit, I guess. Yeah. Those are going to be easy to...
Obviously, I got those on my Mules.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Every single week, and then on the main, like, once every 5 weeks or so, yeah. Typical. Oh, yeah, 750, yeah. So yeah, then I would do probably the superior ring straight up. Try that one. Yeah, and I would imagine that within your budget, you should very easily be able to hit a 21. But set a limit there, right? I think you could realistically set a limit of, like, I'm gonna go down to just having 2 total rings, and then try 21 reinforced into a 20, and then try to tap to 21. And if that doesn't go, try 22 reinforced into a 21, so that I definitely end up with a 21. Because with these maths, you should have a 21 and probably at least 3 backups remaining, right? Like, that's like a guarantee. So if you feel like that's gonna get into jeopardy and you need to go more safe, then switch to the safer way. If the first one hits, that's great. Then you can probably get rid of all the reinforced, and you can just stock stock up on superiors for the rest of the time until you feel like it's safe to tap to 22. Or there's one more option. But yeah, but it's set a limit of how many booms you feel comfortable with, right? If you feel like it's getting into jeopardy. Because if you boom like 4 or something, that does slow you down to eventually getting to a 22 earring. But the question is now, do you really need 22 earrings? You can do, like I have characters that are doing like solo C10 in like 20 minutes. But they have like, it has like 21 superiors. And then if you eventually get pitches and you get those to 22, then the upgrade is going to be even bigger for superior, or for pitch, or you can even go 21 pitch and it'll still be an upgrade as well. And you can, I don't know, you can do so much in this game. Like, it's all about building your hexa now, right? Getting enough fragments and building up the hexa is way more important now than whether some of your pieces are 21 or 22. It's only really important if you're trying to do like extreme Kalos right now. You know, if you don't have everything 22 and some 23s and everything double prime, then there's no business for you being there. You're just going to be wasting everyone's time, right? But if you're still just progressing, like 21, 20 star, 20... like 17 star, 19 star, 21 star, 22 star. Like the 19 and the 21s is like the powerhouse. If you're like 19 or 20 transferred and 21, if you're in that region, you're getting insanely good bang for your buck. As long as your potentials are trash and your flames aren't trash, like you will be able to do all the content around your level for like pretty easily. So yeah, I mean, I'm not like accusing you of that because I don't see that here, but definitely don't fall too much for like the 22 or nothing thing. That's very much a thing for people who play like at least 5 hours a day, you know. For them, that'll become a thing. But you want to set up your account for the transition towards pitched, and I think it would be best to set yourself up for a way that when you get a pitch, like you got the Berserk early now, but that you can very quickly see what you need to do with it, right? Whether it's to walk something up and to use it as a backup, like with the tattoo, or whether it's really for you a 22 or nothing thing, because what you already have is already 21 and is already solid, so you want the upgrade for it to be worth it, basically.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's good to know. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
What I just don't get is, let's say I did get a 21 superior Golux earring now.
Mm-hmm.
I get rid of all my reinforcement earrings, and then when the day comes, I try to tap it to 22, and it booms, so I'll be down to 12 or 17 guaranteed, whatever again, and I might have to wait again to get it back to 21 or 20, right? Or should I then only do it if I have enough spares to basically guarantee me getting back to 20 or 21?
There's 2 options there, and one is, I would say, yeah, it's just waiting until you have enough spares to guarantee. I think once you have like 6 or 7, like the odds of you not hitting within that is extremely low, right? So you can look up here, let's say 150, 21 to 22. With safeguard, you probably would even start without safeguarding. But you calculate, you see the average booms here is like 0, the average 1 to 21. Range of booms, unluckiest person is at 21, right? But you can see, like the chance to boom 6 times is 1.4%. Chance to boom 7 times, 1.1%. A cumulative graph would be better here, but like the chance to boom more than 7 times total is 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, 1.3, 1.9, 2.7, 3.5% chance. So that means like 1 in 30 people will have that. So it's not impossible, right? But second option, what I decided to do with some of my characters is just to make another one on the side. Because your existing earring is probably going to have like 24 to 27% potential and be 21 stars. And at that point, you have to think of the option, would I rather spend the extra money to make another one on the side and to redo my flame and my potential? Or would I rather, to some extent, run the risk of having to go back down to 17 stars. For me, that first one always wins, because that second one sounds like horror. So I would just make, if you have 6 or 7 backups, we should start working on a second one on the side. And maybe you keep a few reinforced or whatever, or you make 121 reinforced into a 20 superior to start there or something. But you can also just tap another one on the side. With superior rings, I did this with superior, but then transferred kind of treasure into superior ring, right, into another 20 star, and then tapped it from 20 to 22, and then I just have a 22 and a 21, which seems like a lot of waste, but at that point you will have so much money that that security and that safety that offers is far greater than the potential risk of, yeah, maybe booming superior ring like 6 times, because then fuck, right? Because what does that do? That cuts into all of your Gollux coins that you've been saving up. What does that do? That cuts into your potentiality for more superior pendants. What does that do? That cuts down, that increases how much risk you're probably going to have to take on getting your source of suffering StarForced up later, right? Having to do like a 20 to 21 taps, whereas if this all goes this way, and especially with the earring and the belt, you want to be able to solve that for itself and with its own drop, so you don't have to cut into your coins at all. You want to make sure that you use as few coins as possible for the superior, so that everything can go to for the superior ring, so that everything can go towards the pendant, so that you can minimize your risk on a source, right? With the eventual hopeful best scenario is that you can just do 22 superiors into source for every single tap at 21, and if you ever fail, that you can just make another 22 superior, as crazy as that sounds now, and then throw it in there, so that you only have to tap at 21 to minimize the risks. Because that drop, like for me, my first source was clear number 164, so that also gave me more time to get backups and everything. But yeah, you really want that one to work, because it's like, yeah, it might be like 3 years until you see another one. It's so these things are so crazy rare to get. I want to minimize absolutely the chances, right? So I would say another one on the side is a viable option. Seems wasteful, but in the grand scheme of things, again, it's only level 150 item. At that point, you're looking at like 21 to 22ing arcanes, and you're going into Eternals and everything. It's not going to be that expensive for you. It's going to be a security that I think you'll gladly pay.
Yep. That sounds like a good plan for me. And now that my full Meso drop gear isn't finished, maybe by the time I can even use the old one, quote unquote, for that then.
Yeah, that's also possible. Yeah. If you do need to upgrade something to a better hybrid, what better to use the 21 superior to give that one a second life? And again, we looked at the cost, right, for the cubing. It's not that much. That's only like 4 or 5 build. That's got to be a drop in the bucket at that point, and then you'll have a upgrade from like a 17 star to a 21 star higher level item that'll bring in a lot more damage for your drop rate set. Exactly. So you'll always have that to fall back on as a plan. So it's not fully a waste.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Try 21, 22 Meso gear Dom to transfer into Gollux. Oh yeah, you're dropping here as well, right? What pendant to use alongside a Superior Gollux for damage, right? So typically people use, so in the past it would be like a transposed Sweetwater, but because transposed changed, that's not as much better. So typically now the go-to is Daybreak, especially if you hit your Berserk, because if you hit your Berserk, that takes off the Twilight mark for the set bonus with the Slime Ring. So then the Daybreak can repair that set bonus, the 2 set bonus with the Slime Ring. Did you change your Slime Ring to the Guardian?
No, not yet.
Not yet, okay. Well, because you're not using Twilight Mark, right?
Yeah,
so
I don't have one.
yeah. Well, so the luck in there would be that if you do hit, and again, that's also why we want to walk up the Berserk and the tattoo, because if one of them booms and the other one ends up hopefully higher than 17, right? Hopefully ends up at 19 or maybe at 21. Then if you get a Twilight Mark, then for the Twilight Mark you can go 21 immediately, right? You don't have to worry about like, do I keep 17? Do I keep 18? What about the set bonus? Now you have a clearer goal on where to go with that thing. The only option is basically 21 or 22. But again, if you make that 21, boom, set bonus comes in. Other one becomes a strong dropper Meso piece, boom, done, right? And you can use the 3-set bonus with the Daybreak. It's still probably going to be better than with Dom. But ideally, it's a Daybreak. Most people, though, will probably be using a Dominator as a second pendant because they get into Dominators just earlier, and they'll have a higher Starforce Dominator. But again, having a higher Starforce Dominator means that you can go 21 or 22 immediately on a Daybreak once you do get it, and there's an event, and then replace it, get the set bonus, and then you can use the Dominator at that point to transfer into Superior Galax if you haven't gotten a higher Starforce Superior Galax yet, or you hold on to it until later when you get the source, and then transfer Superior Galax into another Dominator. Dominator into another Superior Galax, sorry, other way around, and then Starforce that to transfer into the
source.
Into the source, yeah. Or people use it temporarily for a strong drop or meso piece until eventually that comes up, and then by that point you have, you should have anywhere from like 5 to 10 DOMs and the same amount of Daybreaks, and then they're basically the same piece in terms of fodder. So typically people will use Dom for a while because Daybreak drops come in later, right? Because it's like Saren and Vihilla. So they're harder to come by that early in the game. But if you have a Daybreak, that has priority because of the set bonus that you will get, especially if you hit the Berserk. And then Superior Galax, Sweetwater. Sweetwater is like, I have for some Mules, I've done that. Like if I hit one Dom early on, I'll just get a 16 and then transpose it and then only work on that. But I'll do that on like 1 or 2 Mules out of like 12 because I don't want to have to do all of them, all Commercy all the time, right? But then that does take a little bit of pressure off. That means that character never has to do like normal arc for like 3 months or 4 months, or have to think about crafting Dominators and all that. And I can take that one, at least one character I can take out of the line and have it guaranteed. But I try to mix that up a little bit because they are pretty close, but you will need to transpose, and yeah, it's a lot of work, especially if you're also thinking of doing stuff with the tattoo and you have the transposed monocle. That's still an option. If you also do the pendant, then that's going to take a lot of pressure onto Commercy, which means that you'll probably have to level up your boat and do that very regularly. I don't know if you've worked on the boat at all.
No, I did not.
Yeah. Which, it's fine if you're only like, maybe doing 17 to 19, maybe 21 on one piece, it's probably fine. But if you're going to do multiple pieces and you're going to put a lot of pressure that way on all of them, then you really want to start work on leveling up your boat, because then once you get to the level 3 boat, to the Dreadnought, you get more energy on the boat per day, and you also get to move 6 items per voyage instead of 4, which will make you way more dineros. You make something like, it's something stupid. It's something like 50 dineros a day or something once you get to that point. So, but the boat upgrade also costs dineros, so you have to invest into it, and into the voyages as well. You have to buy all of them. But it does become worth it. If you're planning to get 3 pieces to 19 or beyond that, then I would always immediately start working on upgrading the boat instead, doing that as soon as possible, and then you'll be swimming in dineros. So that's something to consider. Maybe not for this one, but for another character in the future or something.
That's probably what people used to do when the other options weren't available, right?
Yeah. Or the other options were just worse. Like way back in the day, we would use 2 Superior Galax pendants because the pendants would drop from Helix. And then for the earrings, we would make Meister earrings and then transpose those into Sweetwater earrings and then Starforce those up.
Okay.
And that was then the best thing, yeah. Yeah, and then you also had to work with... people would do the voyages either way because they wanted to get the Sweetwater equipment, right, from the voyages. And then... because you had to then transpose Tyrant gear with high Starforce into that so that you could take advantage of the bonus stats of Tyrant transposing over, and the set bonus for Sweetwater gear being really, really good. Lots of attack and stat on that. But yeah, that was before Starforcing could go past 15, so Tyrant was way more powerful then, right? Because like a 15-star regular item was, I mean, that was probably weaker than like a 6 or 7-star Tyrant item. So Tyrant was just like the king. But because they didn't want Tyrant to be the meta anymore, they kept Tyrant capped at 15, and like going from 12 to 15 on Tyrant is like the same as going from 22 to 25 on non-superior items. Plus, Tyrant can boom starting at 5 stars, and it's I don't think you can safeguard it, right? Yeah, and it doesn't even get cost reduction during StarForce events and everything. And then for the items that could transpose, that were meta, they capped them at 15 stars. So also you couldn't still like transpose at like 12, right? 12 down to 11, and then StarForce them all the way up to 21, because then they would still be better than, Arcane Gear. So they wanted people to move on to the next set and everything, so to like artificially kind of guide that the. That's why if you get like a Sweetwater glove or a Sweetwater cape, I believe, yeah, even though they're level 160 items, they still can only be StarForced up to 15, which is not normal for items of that level. But the hat still can, so there was still like a caveat with Xenons or something. I don't know. There was a whole interactive server meme where there was like a special hat that could be upgraded way more times. That was level 150, and then you could or 145 to 150, something like that. And then you could transpose them into the Sweetwater hat, and then StarForce that, and then you could technically still be slightly better, because Xenons would use the all stat scrolls and blah blah. You know, it was like a. There's still like meta loopholes for stuff, and people who did make their gear back then and made it like fully upgraded, it's probably still worth to just completely skip Arcane and go straight into Eternals, because that gear still is very, very potent, very strong.
Yeah, I noticed that it's quite common that there are legacy items for some systems or the other.
Yeah,
some
the badges are still
don't work anymore, but.
Yeah, the transposing working definitely took a lot of value away from Commercy, to the point where some people just say that you can't transpose anymore. It's like, well, that's not exactly true, but people were always looking for an excuse to not do Commercy anymore, because let's face it, it was nobody's favorite daily. It's very repetitive, so yeah.
It's not a fun activity itself.
It's okay, but I've done so many hundreds of them myself now that I was a long-term proponent and supporter, but even I am at like, yeah, let's I'll do it a little bit maybe here and there, but if I can stop doing it again for a while, I'm happy. So I've probably gathered in total over like 15,000 dineros in my account, so I think I've done my fair share, probably more than that, probably like closer to 20,000, yeah. So enough time at sea for me. Okay, I think that covers all of these, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But we skipped this one here. FAMs. HP, what stacks with what? Everything with everything.
Okay, so the best would always be the party option.
Party option?
For me and my
party option, and then largest amount. If it says like HP and MP or separate, that's the same amount for each. It's not like with Meso and with drop rate, because there's like a smaller percentage, right? If it has both, or compared to if it has one. But for HP FAMs, it's all the same. So like small amount or medium or large amount is the same percentage, but there's 2 or 3 different sets of percentages. So you don't know exactly which one you have unless you specifically test it. But there's a bunch of different variations. That's why healing is so common. There's a bunch of different types of healing that can all come. But there might be like a small amount that's 3%, and there might be a small amount that's 5%, and there might be a medium amount that's like 8%, and one that's 10%. It's all a little bit, whatever. But as long as the general rule for familiars is, as long as the buff doesn't show up in the top right of your screen, like it doesn't show a buff icon there, then it's just on a timer, and it just all stacks with each other. As soon as it starts giving you a buff, so that's where the drop rate and the meso drop rate and all go, then it's only the largest that counts.
Okay. So best would be HP and MP party large.
HP and MP party large. Yes. Yeah. Well.
Okay.
Yeah. Or like double lines, right? Which is also on Epic almost never going to happen, but on Unique can happen if you open up enough. There might be some double. There might be like a medium party top and a small amount party HP bottom or something that would be roughly the same as a large party. Roughly, you could say like small amount is 5%, medium is 10%, and large is 15%. Roughly, that's where they're around. Okay. Sometimes a little bit lower, yeah. And then Mystic cards, Princess Snow, that's a tough one, because getting a legendary, I'd say that you have legendary Princess Snow. Oh, fuck, that's a really tough one. You have 8% auto steal now. You had critical damage and total damage?
I had those, yeah, but I re-rolled it.
Yeah, I probably would have kept critical damage. Those were like separate rolls, you mean? That was not the same.
No, they were on the same. They were on the
I'm
same.
on the same, yeah.
Cool.
I probably would have kept this because every single mystic card is you either take the new one or the old one, right? You can choose to switch it out. Like a black, I mean like a bright cube, right? It's not like you
can't keep the old one.
You can't keep the old one. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to remember because you use
Yeah.
this so very frequently. No, it does 100% rollover. You're right. Yeah.
It's like the blue cube.
Yeah, which makes it tough. Well, you'd have to look at how many you have, but I probably would have. Yeah, you can't hold. You're right. I don't know why I thought that. You can. Then I would have critical damage 6 and total damage 9 is definitely very nice, but I probably would have rolled over that because Legendary Familiars has very low amount of variance, and the chance of hitting, it's. I don't know if you can hit 35. I don't think so. It's 40, 45, or even 50% boss damage, right?
Yep. It goes up to 50.
Yeah, is very high. So I think 40% boss damage on a legendary is like a min settle, honestly.
Okay.
I would probably always roll over unless I hit 40% boss. Yeah. And higher than 40% boss is kind of weird. Although no, fuck it. No, that's great because that means that you can sell for 30% bosses instead of having to min max for 40 in this super end game essentially. Because you can get up to 120 boss, right, from all your familiars. So, like, perfect would be 40, 40, 40. Or, you know, you get like a 20, 20 or whatever. But if you go over 40, that means that you can settle on just 30, right? Which will then be, haha, that's so easy getting 30. And you don't have to min-max for 40s to get all the boss damage out, yeah. But rolling over that that's going to be tricky. Doing ever that, but yeah, no. Rolling over, I say that was the right decision. At least 40% damage, because I mean, critical damage is nice. Critical damage is probably equivalent to. Oh god, it's a rough one. In my brain, critical damage. Oh, I have to convert that the stat to convert it back to flame score. Damage is like 15 flame score each. Critical damage is like, is it 15? 15%? No, probably closer to 20% stat. For 8%, so like 2.5% stat, which is a flame score of about 12 probably. So that's like 24. So that's about 30. So this is like 180 plus 180 plus 135, so like a 315 flame score. These are some rough maths, right? But 40% boss would be closer to like 600. So it would be almost twice as good as this.
Okay, yeah, so...
Yeah, critical damage is
maybe
probably about 2% damage per critical damage, roughly. Yeah, so you're like a 12 plus 9, like a 21, so going to 40, something like that. A little bit of variance, right? Some classes have higher critical damage, some have lower. Yeah.
Hopefully down the road we get easier ways to get those.
Yeah, they talked about that they do wanna keep them, bring them into the game. They're never gonna be super plentiful, I don't think. But you can I tell everyone, like, you know, keep like 1 or 2 uniques that you make that are shitty, just keep them and hold on to them so that when cards do come, that you always have something immediately to throw on. You don't have to then start making uniques and like failing 7 times in a row from epic to unique, because we know that's going to happen, right? And who's got like 5,000 familiars lying around to do that for fun? So, yeah. No, I would say that's a good decision. Anything else with FAMs, because they can be a little bit confusing, because I know you screenshotted a whole bunch of them.
I just screenshotted all that basically can be useful in any way. No, I still need the large drops, so I follow your advice to just open Epic for now.
Yeah.
And when the time comes, I'll see what I can get in Unique then.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, the Princess Snow is great. I've done so much Princess Snow. I've never seen one of these, so I'm glad at least someone is getting them. So I know that they exist still. I kind of dropped Princess Snow now as a weekly boss because it's a little bit too slow of a boss for me. There's like 2 or 3 characters that still could use rings that I run the boss on, but other than that, I've just completely moved on. And if I do need rings at this point, I can just craft Meister rings, right? They could just replace the Princess Snow, but it probably means that I'll never see a legendary Princess Snow familiar, which, you know.
It was definitely the beginner's luck effect, because it was my second or third ever run.
Wow, yeah. I've probably killed like, I don't even know, like 500-600 of them. Yeah, I never saw it. It's just so hit or miss, right? What CP is needed for a Heart Siren box run? You'll have to look at how strong the party is, Apple Tomato. If it's a very fast run, you probably will need... I heard it's lower than you think, though. I heard as long as you're 275 and you have the enough sacred, that you only need something like, I think only like 70 or something? 60 to 70 to blue dot. Even in like a pretty strong party. But if you don't have the level and you don't have the sack, you need way more. You'll need like up to 3 times as much, I think. Sorry.
Is Pino the only boss card that exists in our server?
No, there's more. Papalatus can also drop unique, which I'm sure you will get as well, which I also haven't gotten. Yeah, so the unique can drop from Papalatus, and I think the Lotus card can also be unique. But again, I've also killed so many Lotuses, and I've never seen one of those, but some people will over their lifetime, so... by my knowledge, those are the only ones that can drop over rare difficulty. I think
so
there's a
rare any boss can drop?
No. Almost no bosses drop cards. It's mostly like old content. So it's basically if you look at the collection itself, then you can see which ones exist because they're like in sets, you know. So the highest level boss will be Lotus, and then oh god, it's like here the knights, the round 2 knights from Cygnus can drop cards. But just so you have to wait in the boss fight for like 4.5 minutes or so until she summons her rank 2. Those can drop cards. Those are very rare. I've been trying to farm those. These guys are kind of like bosses, I guess, but this is like dojo storyline where you have like a limited amount of kills you can do. Yeah, this is like a party boss. It doesn't even really count, right? I guess this is a boss, the false daimyo, and the where is he? And this guy, the Yakuza boss. They can drop cards. Like Onego is kind of a mini boss. But other than that, like the high level bosses, it's more like area bosses in the lower level. But some of those are also just only from booster packs, right? And booster packs are also said to have a very small chance to give unique cards. But again, I've opened a lot of booster packs, way more than the average person has. I've never seen a unique card there. Only epics are pretty common. Probably like 1 in 4 to 5 packs or so you see an epic. But uniques are insanely rare, yeah.
Right.
And then you have a mention here for presets.
Yeah, so like you've just shown yours like half an hour ago, I think. Should I just put the link skills, all the same presets, so I don't change it too much and run into the position where I have to pay for it over and over? Like,
yeah, so they have an option now where you can also select not selected.
Ah, okay.
So if you select that one, specifically, you know, between the party box and the solo box, basically, then it just won't switch your links at all.
Ah, okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, I can settle.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah, they added that later in Korea, and we got that a little bit ago. But that's yeah, that'll bypass the cost and the constant switching. Yeah. But yeah, so I have one for mobbing, mainly because that puts me into into the set that has the drop and the mezzo, and then maybe a spirit pendant, right? And then the solo box and a party box is the same preset. The only difference is the link skills, because I have like one link skill, like you did, right? One for more survivability. That one's for the party bossing, and then the one with less survivability but more raw damage, that's the one for all the solo bossing. I think you have a similar... I think I saw you have a similar setup for that.
Yep.
One thing I did notice, but yeah, not like a super high priority, is you have high IED, right? And you have Frailty Curse on top of that, right? With the Hyper Skill for an extra 30% IED. So you can definitely roll your emblem away from the IED that it has on it, and definitely go for 2 lines attack at least. That should give you a nice big jump in damage.
Okay, let me write that down. Emblem.
That's like a very low risk. I think on average that's like 2 bill or something. It's also pretty cheap upgrade. 2-line attack. If you get ID with it, with 2-line attack, of course, that would be crazy. Because that means that you can go a little bit lower on ID on some other things, like maybe temporarily a little bit in the hyper stats or in the Legion grid even. And then go harder on buff duration, right? So that your terms and condition can last a little bit longer while you're bursting. Just to get a little bit more juice out of your spread throw. It's just 21 attack plus. Yeah, Caesar. I don't really believe this number because I have rolled for that a lot. But yeah, it goes up like really quickly after that, of course, right? Because it goes a little bit crazy. But the 21 attack should be a big upgrade for you. Yeah, especially now that you're still only using the Roar 2. So yeah, I would definitely do that. Like your IDs at a point where it can definitely handle that. But yeah, other than that, we already talked about all of the drop rate, all of the StarForcing, and all of those possible projects. And then after that, it's probably mainly going to be to get all the potentials up to the same space, and then just using the flames, just, you know, one item at a time to bring them all up, right? You have a lot of event flames that you can use now for that.
Yeah, I have plenty I can claim at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, here's the rotor. Yeah. But yeah, I would use the Dominator as the second pendant now, and then if you can make the Daybreak right at the same stars, then just transfer the Dominator into it, and then that gets the Superior up, and that maintains, and then it brings the set bonus up, with the ring, and with the if you have the Berserk, not with that one, but otherwise if you have Twilight Mark with that one. But yeah, and then when you get that one, don't forget to switch your ring to get the set bonus. You have to do the little pre-quest there, and well, I guess you did it already, right? So you just have to buy the scroll from the ancient slime dude. Yeah.
I already did it, and I already bought one of these scrolls when I didn't know what it does.
Oh yeah, okay. So you already have one sitting in the inventory. That's good. Yeah, and then it's probably, yeah, after that it's probably going to be cubing for a bit as you just wait for backups, and then it's just back to the systems, the similar things like you're saying, right? Looking for the 21s. If you have backups for Arcane, maybe slowly working on getting it to 18, getting it to 19. If you have a box and it's near an event, try to keep the box as the box, right? So that during the event you can just gamble with all the pieces of Arcane if you have money, until one booms, and then just pick that one from the box. That way you have a universal backup, and if you're lucky, you might get all of your armors all from 17 to 19 without even, you know, needing to pick one. But as soon as you pick one, and then that one doesn't boom, now you're locked in with all the other ones, and now you can't even take a chance there, right? So if it's around a 5, 10, 15 event, maybe try to look at when you're running the hard bosses, and try to time them so that you can have, you know, the boxes from the previous week still available throughout the entire day, and then boxes from the next week potentially also. So you have 2 weeks of boxes maybe. That can help you in the 17 to 19 realm. That can help you a lot to make that a lot more affordable. Once you're going 19 to 21 and 19 to 22, you basically run into the same thing as now with the superiors, where depending on your own level of risk, but you probably want, for me it's like, you know, if I have one backup at 17, there's an event, I'm going to try to go for 18, and if that goes, I'm going to try for 19. But 19 to 21, I would always need at least 3 to 4 backups, and if I'm going 21 to 22, because that's such a low priority upgrade for me, I'll probably by that time have like 7 upgrades, 6 or 7, you know, backups for each. So kind of like that higher end that I mentioned with the Superior as well.
Yeah, definitely a good approach to settle on 21 for most of the stuff before going anywhere near 22.
If like 20% of your gear is 19 stars and 40% is or like 30% is 20 stars and 50% is 21 stars, you could do probably like 95% of the content in a game very easily. So it's really for that last 5% that you really need to push everything. Otherwise, it's just not possible mathematically. But that does mean if you wait 6 months to a year, it's probably still going to be possible with the same gear because power creep will happen. Bosses will get nerfed, bosses will get changed, gear will go up, skills will come out, extra systems, like, you know, Legion Champion, all that stuff coming. Damage will come from all that. You have guild skill, flag, culvert, mules. Is that just specifically for our guild that you had a question about?
Yes and no. Basically, I didn't know up until a couple of days ago that for the guild skills, it's kind of a weekly competition.
Yeah.
I thought you reach a level and then you just unlock the guild skills and you have those, but
no,
so
every
you
week
have to maintain.
Yeah. So there's 3 things. There's the contribution, basically just playing the game. There's the culvert, and there's the flag race. So you can see under guild content, you can see the 3 here. So weekly mission is just, you know, killing monsters near your level and doing bosses. You will max this out very easily. Culvert is one you can run it as many times as you want, but it'll just take the best score of the week, and that score will all get added up together from all the people in the guild, and then that'll get you ranked. If we do they changed also like the minimum amount you get for certain scores. They added that. So basically, if you get at least 60,000 in total, which is, you know, less than our strongest people get, then we get guaranteed how much is it? 25 skill points, I think. Oh jeez, what's the number? Yeah, I think 25. 10, 10. God, hang on. 20, yeah, 25. Which basically means with 10 here, and then 10 here from flag if you reach a total of 10k. 10, 10, 25, that's 45, so that means that we can max out 3 skills. So basically these 3 will always be maxed. And then how well we do in Culver for the week will increase the IED one a little bit. But basically, like the top 5%, you will get 4 skill points. And then last week we had to demote some people who didn't do anything for a long time to get our skill points back. But the difference in damage between 0 and 4% is not so much that it's really going to be noticeable in damage, but it basically just means like are we being active and are we actively working on, you know, supporting everyone, because there's always a group of people who does it every time, and then if a bunch of people start slacking and not doing it at all, but they're just like coasting and just kind of like, you know, taking advantage of the people who are working harder, that's not really fair. So then we have a little bit of rules of like, you know, if we start slipping in points, then we just, the people who don't contribute at all, they just get demoted 1 rank, and then you can't use the G skills anymore until you do the culvert and the flag, and then you just get your rank back, and then you can just use them again. So as long as you do either one, the culvert or the flag, in a week, then you can just maintain your rank and keep getting access to the skills and to the guild castle, like to the upgrade room and everything. Just to put a little bit of, you know, positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement, I guess, depending on how you look at it. If we want to go past like these skill points, you need to be top 10 guilds essentially, or is it top 30? I think it's top 10 guilds like of everything. If you really want to significantly go past that, which means competing with, you know, crazy, crazy levels of scores. You know, like we can probably, if we all run and we all like do our best, we can probably get to like 1.5 mil or something now. But like, you know, like Saga Savages, they already have like 6.5 mil now, and it's fucking Monday, right? So like there's still Tuesday and Wednesday to run. So it's not even on the same. Yeah, you'd have to, even to pick it to top 10, we'd have to probably double the triple our score. So it's not a competition we're trying to get into. That takes a lot of work and upkeep and 200 active people always running. But yeah, so that's based on that ranking, but it's not as strict anymore. So like our Mule Guild gets the same amount essentially, and then a third Mule Guild can get the same amount if people are feeling frisky, but we usually get 2.5 to 3 skills max there. If everyone's active and, you know, I can keep up with like the moving the inactive people out and everything, then both of the Mule Guilds can get to around those 45 skill points as well, and then we can just have 3 full leveled skills, which is, you know, which is great.
So about the mules, like if I put in multiple mules in one of our mules, can I contribute on each of the characters, or is it like a one per account thing?
Yeah, there's one thing that's limited, and that's if you do the guild castle weekly. There's like a kill 5,000 monsters inside the guild castle dungeon, basically. If you do that, you can get your on fucking, is it Thursday now? Yeah, on Thursday. You can get your weekly reward. That one you can only pick up once per guild. But the culvert and the flag and the points and everything, that's all per character. So you can contribute with multiple ones for that.
So that's kind of you can and you also should.
Yeah, basically, I mean, it's one of those, it's like with links in my chat, like everyone can post links, but if you post bad links, I'll, like, you know, there's going to be responses, you know? So it's like with this, like, people don't really have to, but if, you know, we start slacking on points or we start losing, then the first people to go are the people who have been contributing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's kind of like an honor system where if you know that you have like 5 or 6 mules in there and you run like 1 culvert and 1 flag run per week, that's probably not enough, but if you have 5 characters in there and you do flag and culvert on all of them every single week, that's probably more than you need to be doing, you know? So try to find a little bit of a fair balance. If you know you haven't done that much this week and it's it resets Wednesday to Thursday, right? And you have some time on Tuesday and Wednesday to maybe squeeze in a few, like a culvert here and there and maybe a flag here and there to kind of like make up the difference. I try to keep an eye on it, but with 3 guilds, it's a little much sometimes. Plus, it used to reset on Sunday to Monday as well. And in my brain, it hasn't really shifted over yet because it's been Sunday to Monday for so long. But yeah, I try to do my best with that. But we've been struggling a little bit to bring new people in. So if you have friends or people that you know who also want to join a guild, feel free to let me know, and we can invite more people because we need some fresh blood as well, so some fresh meat.
Sure, I can ask.
Get invaded here. Did we address every? Because we're up on the hour and a half, or we have been. Are there any things that you feel like we missed? Because you did interability. Oh no, you got a really nice one there with all of the honor. 5K left, very nice.
Yeah, I used everything I had yesterday.
Oh, that looks solid. No, the main thing. Oh, the emblem. Yeah, and the other thing is that I don't know what you're following exactly for the Hexam Matrix, but usually, you know, the class discords have a great thing there. You probably want to work on the second Hexa stat, I think, right?
I was thinking to do it because of the upcoming event in 2 weeks, but I was told it's not the right decision right now to do it. So, what would you advise me?
Fragment-wise, people said like it's better to put it in your masteries. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Probably until they're like 19 or something, right? And then maybe circle back. I mean, because it's passive damage, but that's mainly the thing for classes that are more DPM heavy, and you're extremely burst heavy. So maybe that is better for you. Yeah. Again, that's why I was saying, first of all, like, yeah, if the class Discord has like a specific order for you, there's probably a good idea behind that. The event for the Hexam Matrix, because I see you have it at level 5, it checks level 5 for the main stat, and then past
okay, so it's
past
not
the main stat level 5. Yeah, not total level. So you could still put if it comes time for this, you could definitely still put levels in until you hit 5, because sometimes you don't even get to 5. Like my last 2 only got to level 4 at level 20. So this is a very good start. I hope this continues. But my first 2 were level 8 on the top one, or level 7. Yeah, level 7. I think a 7 and 8 or something. And then the next 2 were 4 and 4. So it's like, yeah. But yeah, depending on your level, you immediately go to that. Or but yeah, if the Nightlord Discord tells you, you know, it's time for the things again, because usually I don't see like level 10 on the skills and on the masteries. I thought the masteries always went a little bit higher, but again, I don't know off the top of my head for 49 classes though. The Hexa Matrix order, that's too much.
No, I'm definitely guilty of not following the guild
Yeah.
Discord 100%.
Gotcha, yeah. I mean, it's you don't have to, right? But the further you get into the game, like efficiency is like kind of like a dirty word sometimes. But the further you get into the game, if you don't tackle things a little bit efficiently or follow the way people have just like found that it works the best, you're just gonna have to work harder to get the same result. And then you'll have less time to do the things that are fun for you, and more time to do the things that are just kind of like necessary to get to the fun part. So you kind of owe it to yourself a little bit to follow up on things, just so you can have more time to you know, to goof off instead of always being working, because then it becomes a part-time job, right? And that's, yeah, that loses its shine, I think, pretty quickly. Boss Mules or Legion Champions, I guess last thing we can talk about here. What were you specifically thinking about this?
If I should the extra like funding, if I should put that into these existing mules to make them stronger and eventually make them Legion champions later, or if I should make more boss mules, like easy ones, to get up the weekly income a bit.
Yeah. So Korea shifted. I don't know if you saw that. Korea shifted the amount of crystals you can sell per week from 180 to 90. It's possible that that's just for interactive and for their market. That basically their reasoning was that I think it was less than 1.5% of people actually sold more than 90 crystals. So they kind of wanted to take the pressure of, you know, people feeling like they need to cap that away, and then probably just replace it with other ways of making money instead. But I assume that that percentage is very different for Heroic in terms of how many crystals people sell. And again, it's also based on like the market and supply and demand for the mesos and the auction house and all of that for interactive, which we don't have in Heroic at all. So I think there's a very good chance that we don't get that, because it didn't go coupled with anything else. It was just cutting that in half, and then that's it. If they say like, oh, we, you know, for some reason like we need to copy that as well, you know, for the game systems or whatever, but we adjust the value maybe for the crystals, then that might mean that you won't have to go as wide in as many boss mules anymore to still be able to cap comfortably. Or, you know, capping is like the arbitrary line, right? You don't have to cap, of course, but up to the cap you can get there with fewer characters. But I think in general the game is probably going to move towards like a total of 6 characters, right? With Legion Champion 3 first, and then probably, I don't know if they're going to add them one at a time or then open up 4, 5, and 6 in like 6 months or so. To focus around 6 characters that mainly do most of the heavy lifting. And I think making more boss moves out of that is mostly valuable for, you know, for more money, but also for more black hearts if you want to get into pitch system on multiple characters and have a permanent uptime black heart before you can get to the total control from Extreme Lotus, because, you know, that's a hard thing to get to. So I think there they still have value. But I would just like slowly work up the boss mules, and if you would enjoy them, then keep investing in them, and if you don't enjoy them, then just keep them where they are and just take the money out of them and use that money for something else. Because just because characters are fun at a certain point doesn't mean they're fun at all the bosses, and you might also kind of like fall out of love with some characters and be like, yeah, this character was okay, but now I have this other character which is way shinier and way cooler, and I prefer playing it way more. That's why I prefer just a more like organic funding and over time, and waiting a long time to make big upgrades, because then you have more backups, right? You have more events, you can take more riskier approaches, or less risky, I guess, depending on how you look at it, right? A higher chance of, or you can go more all or nothing, and you have nothing really to lose. And then whether you hit or not can determine whether you keep bossing on a character or not, or you push it or not. But I would look, in general, in terms of like Legion, I would look towards 2 to 3 characters that you like a lot and that you would see yourself bossing on in the long term. And besides that, just a whole bunch of like small duders doing like small things, so that if the crystal change comes, you can easily axe a few and you're good. And you can like consolidate again and refocus on fewer. And if the changes don't come, then you can still just keep doing all the small crystals, because there's a lot of power creep, a lot of damage in just, you know, just throwing like 50 nodes or something, right? And nodes are way more common now as well. 50 to 100 nodes just on some random character, and they can easily like go up to Akechi and CPAP, right? And make a whole bunch of money for you every month, or every week, every month. And then like going wider, and you don't have to really commit. But then, yeah, if you don't like a character and you do like a character, then I would just always like refocus on which character you enjoy bossing on, fund that one a little bit more, and usually in the time it takes you to really get a feeling for the characters, in that time you'll get more backups, and then you can just send them further. And then I think I would use that as well as a thing to distinguish between whether you even want to go for anything like Gollux and Reinforced or not at all. Because if you're going, like if you're going to go to 260, I think that makes sense to go Superior Gollux. But if you're not sure yet, it's fine to either go Reinforced or just completely boss accessory set. In terms of the funding.
Yeah, right now I only did the Gollux route for my dual blade.
No. And Shade probably got there too fast, right? With the burn.
The Shade can do Dlomian easily just from the burning, yeah.
Yep. I like the Shade actually. I think the change was very nice for it. It's a little weird.
I didn't know
with
how
all
to play
the
before,
timings.
but
Yeah.
it's pretty nice, yeah.
Yeah, they were similar before, but the way that you had to play them to do the thing was weird, and a lot of the skill animations were, I don't know, didn't make much sense in my opinion. This is much more straightforward on like, you press this button, this happens, you know, it's just like more logical. For my smooth brain, I can comprehend what's going on, you know?
Yeah, for me it's a bit similar to the Lin, also quite easy to get your hands on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did it with a lot of characters, and like Aaron, they made it a lot more streamlined as well. You cut some corners in doing that, but it makes it more accessible to a broader audience, yeah. Alright. I think we covered everything?
Yep.
Yep. Nothing remaining? Any last questions? Any last words?
No, thanks.
Closing thoughts?
It.
Sorry, that's better. Last words sounds like you're gonna get executed. My bad. And chop! Here comes the injection.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. No, it's a bit aggressive. But yeah, I mean, best of luck on Sunday, and yeah, just check out the calculators, use the commands. You know, don't be scared. Sometimes there's a bit much there, yeah, but you know, sometimes you only need a portion of it, or if it's too much, you can always ask for clarification and be like, hey, I'm doing this, but I don't know what the hell's going on here, or how do I put that into context with this other thing that I read somewhere. And because if there's contradictory stuff, it can be that something is outdated, or it can just also be a different viewpoint or a different strategy, right? So it's good to know where that's coming from, so that you can place it for yourself and know what makes sense for you to follow versus whether something is strictly wrong or right. Because it's a big game and it's an old game, and there's been a lot of strategies over the years.
Yeah, there are many information online.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, best of luck, and hopefully it was helpful for you.
Definitely. I'll let you know how it goes, especially with the Upmark and Berserk.
Yeah, because if those just go early, then that sets you very specifically up for... That's a whole bunch of things you don't have to worry about for super, super long. So that would be nice if at least one of those gets to go. And if they don't, you know, like statistically, it's still very possible that they don't. But then at least you tried, you know, and you had a strategy for it, which is, I think, is the best. All right. Well, let us know. We'll hear from you, and have a good rest of your day and a good week.
You too. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, it's been a while since we did one of those. I try to keep it in the hour and a half, but of course, you know, we going along. Always the Scardor running late. But yeah, I think we got through all of the topics. I think very, for a newer account, damn, I already have the fucking Legendary Princess Stone, a second or third run. Of course. Yeah, I know. I misremembered the card is 100% rollover. I was kind of hoping it would be like Bright Cube. Imagine, that would actually be really cool if they did that. A special card. That's an idea for you, Nexon. Make them give us a purple card, allows us to roll to something new or keep them. But yeah, if you have any questions based on this session or any feedback, anything you wanted to help this Nightlord player out with, make sure you leave a comment in the description. If you want a session like this, check out !coaching over in the Twitch chat or check the description of the video. I do these all the time, or used to do this all the time. I do them on requests, so that's why I haven't done them in a while. But I gave away a few of them for free again here on YouTube. I do that every month as well. So I want you guys to know that that's still available. It's just it hasn't been requested. That's why I haven't been uploading them as much recently. But yeah, with a new event coming up, there's always a good idea to kind of just, even if you already knew all of it and it doesn't really change your plan, it's good to just talk through it with someone else. Just make sure that you're not forgetting anything. Small things here and there. Hopefully you learned at least one or two things, and I learned one or two things, Never know everything about this game, and we never will, because the game keeps changing. But yeah, thanks for watching this video, and watch something else, or I'll see you in the next one, or live on stream, twitch.tv/Scardor. That's where I am most of the time. Thanks for watching.